Good afternoon. It is Sunday, September 15th, 2019, and this is the Product Mentor Talk. Today, we are joined by one of our mentors, Paul Hurwitz, and he's going to do a discussion on how to transition from product management to product leadership. I'm going to briefly explain our format. The Product Mentor program was stood up to help create better product people by pairing experienced product professionals with people looking to advance their product capabilities. Each of the product mentors have many years of wonderful and diverse product experience, from B2B to B2C to hard products and even service products. We're also joined by the mentees in the current session as well. Can everyone just quickly wave and say hi? Thank you very much. So now we're going to do introductions. Just a reminder, let's keep it simple. Your name, your location, as in where you are in the world, your current role, and whether you're a mentor or a mentee. I'm going to go in no particular order other than the order in which I see people. So actually going to start with Paul.
Hi, everyone. My name is Paul Hurwitz. I am a product mentor, obviously, giving the talk this hour. I am based in the New York City area, VP of Product, currently working on consulting roles at the moment.
Ines.
Hi, everyone. I'm Ines. I'm pleased to work with Paul as a mentee, and I'm based in Germany. I'm product manager on a biotech company.
Candice.
Hi, I'm Candice Zhang. I'm a mentee in this program based in New Jersey. I'm a head of product in a company called Tenfort currently.
Daniel.
Hey, my name is Dan Daraponski. I live in Toronto, Canada. I'm a mentee, product manager at a company called Modo Insight.
John.
Hi there, I'm John Matheson, and I am based in London, here in the UK. I am the Chief Product Officer at a startup called Improve Well, and I'm a mentor in this program.
Andras.
Hey everybody, I'm Andras. I'm based in Slovenia, working as a product manager at Loop Email, and I'm a mentee in this program.
Hello everybody. Hi, hello everybody. This is Tawhid Ahmed. I am one of the mentors in this program. I've been recently managing kind of client experience products for web and mobile platforms. Really excited to be here today.
Just a reminder, please post your questions to the Q&A section at theproductmentor.com/live. We prefer questions during the session as opposed to at the end, and in fact, often questions at the end don't always get fielded because things end. So don't be shy. Please post questions to the session in real time. And I am Jordan Bergstrom, head of product at Equip ID, your moderator for today's live stream. All right, I will now turn the session over to Paul. Paul, take it away.
Hi, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Again, my name is Paul Hurwitz, and today I'm going to be talking about how to transition from product management to product leadership, and how to advance your career. What does it mean to manage product managers? Things that I've learned both by research before making the jump and by trial and error after making the jump into my first VP of product role. I'm going to go ahead, share my screen. And there we go. So just to tell you a little bit about myself, I've been in different technology roles for over 20 years. I've been in product roles for just about 12 years, a little bit more. I got my start in a fintech product up in the Boston area and have been in health tech for the last 6 years in the New York City area. My journey has been going from product manager to senior product manager. I was director of product twice at 2 different companies, and then I moved into a VP of product role most recently. So do you need to move up the ladder? You've been a product manager for a few years now, or maybe more than a few. You've enjoyed the day-to-day work of being a product manager, being a PM, talking to customers, doing all the research needed to solve problems and build new products and features. You're happy as an individual contributor. Do you need to move up the ladder? For some people, that decision is made by the desire or need for increasing salary, and that usually only comes with increasing responsibility and moving up the corporate ladder. Other people just see it sort of as the need for their own personal growth, not necessarily driven by the desire or need for increasing salary. In some functions, engineering in particular, you can remain an individual contributor and still advance in your career. You don't have to manage people to advance. Roles like senior developer, architect, staff software, staff software scientist, all exist for that exact purpose. Unfortunately, that isn't the case in all product management organizations. In smaller to medium-sized companies, the path to advancement is almost always to manage people. In larger companies with larger product organizations, there might be paths for people to advance their career without managing people like there is in engineering. Kim Scott, who's the author of Radical Candor, great book for anybody who is moving into a management role for the first time, makes the distinction between a superstar and a rock star. Some people are happy to be a rock star. They're stable as a rock, happy in their current role, and not looking for advancement. Other people are hungry to be superstars. They're change agents, they're ambitious, they want new opportunities. The superstars tend to move up the ladder and usually want to be a people manager. The rock stars are usually content to stay where they are and not move up the ladder. It's possible to switch from being a superstar to a rock star and vice versa. You might have stages in your life where you're happy to be a rock star, you want to keep things status quo, you're not looking for change, because outside of work, you might have a lot of change going on. And there are other times you might be hungry for growth and change, and that can change during your career. A side note and slightly off topic about rock stars is that when you start a new role as a product manager, whether you're a product manager or a product leader, look for the rock stars around the company. They could end up being the engineer who's been around since the beginning and doesn't attract much attention, but they can certainly be a wealth of information. So what are the usual paths for moving into a product leadership role? They're typically, I'm just saying in general, there are two usual routes to attaining a product leadership role. You could be hired as a company's first head of product with a title like VP, CPO, or head of product. They might have a few product managers already and are looking for a head of product to lead that team, or you could be the company's first product hire. The first product hire in a company typically happens around 15 employees and usually late in the round A or round B of funding. A company with between 25 and 50 employees might have a few product managers already reporting to the CTO, and now they want someone with more product experience to come in and lead the team of product managers. The other likely scenario is replacing an existing product leader. I found in my own searches as a first-time product leader, it's likely easier to get hired into a smaller company that is growing as opposed to a larger corporation or company, especially if you don't have experience directly managing people yet. When you are hired as a company's first product person, whether as a product manager or a head of product, something to keep in mind is that when you're the first product manager, you are usually taking on the product role that was previously run by the founder of the company. And this is something you might want to suss out during interviews, is how much that CEO or CTO, whoever the founder is, how much control that person is willing to give up. You could end up in more of a role where you're executing on the founder's vision instead of truly owning the product vision. And it could take some time to win over the trust of the founder to truly leading product for the company. So that's just something to keep in mind. So I want to talk a little bit about concerns and challenges about moving up the ladder to being a product leader. In March of this year, Rich Mironov, who's a product management consultant, an interim chief product officer, and a thought leader in the product space, conducted a survey on the top questions and concerns that product managers have about getting promoted. The next few slides are going to talk about the top 3 areas of concern expressed in the survey results. The top concern was knowing what exactly product leaders or even a product manager's immediate managers do. I'm going to get into more detail on that in a few more slides, so hold on for some thoughts on this concern. Going on to concern number 2, one of the biggest challenges that you have when you move into a leadership role is that you are transitioning away from being an individual contributor. This can be a hard transition for some people, harder for others more than others. And you're concerned about not keeping your hands dirty. Product managers like the stuff that they work on. So when you move into a product leadership role, you're worried about not doing the day-to-day stuff that a product manager does. You're concerned about how far removed from hands-on product management your work will be. How do you give PMs autonomy and not make yourself redundant? And but you still want to be a product manager, but you want to have more influence. All of these are valid concerns, and all concerns that I had when I moved into a leadership role when it comes to giving up direct individual contributor product work. Being a product leader can be just as rewarding as a product manager, but in different ways. Product leadership is a chance to nurture and mentor people in groups instead of individual products. Being a product leader is also a chance to affect company-wide metrics for product, not just individual product metrics. And I'm going to talk more in a little bit about strategy and product vision and the influence that a product leader has on those. You may not be getting your hands dirty in gathering intelligence to develop individual products, but a product leader plays a valuable role in looking at the bigger picture. Every company I've worked for breaks down their products into multiple areas of focus. Even if it's a single deliverable, they might have broken it down into multiple products with quotes in multiple teams. At one company I was with, they had a single platform for clinical trial data analysis, but they broke down the product into the stages of data analysis: data input, and then results and output. So even though it was one website, one platform, it was broken down, and many companies do that. That being said, a product manager is going to be most concerned with their product and prioritizing their problems to solve and features to build independently of everyone else. It's the product leader's role to make sure there's portfolio alignment, to make sure that resources are being appropriately prioritized across all products, and to make sure that all product decisions align with company goals. That being said, you still want to be up to date on details of what your team is working on. Not only do you need the clarity of details so you can share it up and across the company, but you also need to know details of what your product managers are working on so that you can help your product managers to make the right decisions and work through complex problems they might be having. Number 3, how do I move into a leadership role? How do I make that jump? You know, good managers should have your best interests at heart and will be open to give you open and honest to give you feedback on what areas you might need to work on and what opportunities there might be in your current company. Having an open and honest discussion with your current manager, knowing that there might not be any leadership roles currently available in your company, is the place to start. Tell them you're looking to advance your career and that at some point, not immediately, you would like a position like theirs, and ask for feedback on what areas they think you need to work on. Managers don't want to be blindsided by someone's desires for career advancement, so they should be willing to have this conversation with you. If they aren't, it might be a signal that it's time to find a new manager. You might get lucky and be able to move up in your current company by demonstrating your skills and talking with your manager, but it's possible you will only get the opportunity to advance and jump into a new company. Where looking for ways to increase your visibility within your company and looking for opportunities to demonstrate your leadership skills will help you. By taking on new responsibilities that have leadership qualities to them, like taking on a new group or company-wide initiative that isn't just your product, mentoring some more junior PMs or other employees in the company, volunteering to do a lunch and learn about the product group for the rest of the company, are all ways that you can demonstrate to a potential new employer that you have the leadership qualities needed to move up to the next level. In Rich's study that I mentioned before, he also asked for feedback on people's current managers and the leaders that they have. And the most positive feedback was one, about leaders not micromanaging, and two, sharing knowledge. So those are things that you always need to be open to doing and look for in your existing leaders and new people that you might work for. Today, I'm talking about what a product leader does for product management, but there's also, of course, the aspect of being a people manager, and I'm not going to get too much into that. That's a whole topic for another time. But being a people manager does share a key aspect of product management, solving problems. A lot of what a people manager does in any department in a company is help their direct reports to solve problems and clear roadblocks for them to be able to accomplish their tasks. So that's something that you're going to do no matter where you are as a product leader, as a leader anywhere, and that has obviously very similar feel to being a product manager. So the top concern of senior PMs about moving up the ladder was lack of clarity about what their immediate managers do, falling roughly into these 5 categories. And I'm going to talk about what do product leaders do and what are the kinds of things that you need to keep in mind. So building, nurturing a product team, tools and processes, growing cross-function collaboration, portfolio alignment, working with C-level execs on business and product and goal alignment. Done well, the outcomes of strong product leadership are collaboration, clear roles, focus on customer value, and more successful products. Good leaders encourage their product teams to correctly understand user needs, make hard strategic choices, and motivate cross-functional teams and deliver value to the customer and to the user and to the company. So I'm going to get into more detail on each of those in the next slides. Building and nurturing a team is a key responsibility for any manager, and these are some of the concerns for product leaders specifically that I learned about before I became a product leader, and that became very clear to me as I did become a product leader. How many product managers do we need? As a product leader, you need to decide how many product managers and how many product teams you want to have, and especially how big you want your product teams to be. I found that when you have a team that's bigger than a ratio of 10 to 1, 10 engineers, designers, QA, DevOps, architects, the team to 1 product manager, you tend to lose some efficiency in the teams, and you need to think about splitting them into smaller teams. People are going to disagree with me no matter what. That's just my own personal experience. When a team gets too big, product managers tend to be unable to keep up with their teams and struggle with the tactical short-term deliverables like user stories, sprint planning, backlog grooming, etc. You also need to be working on thinking about how to divide the teams. You need to decide how you want to divide the work of your teams by products, product areas, market vertical, etc. It's something that is unique to each company, and you need to certainly do some research and some work with the teams before you make any big changes, unless you're creating from scratch. Even then, you still need to know what's going on before you make a decision. And the team structure can certainly change over time, but it requires knowing your company and what the best team structure might be for the company. And another aspect is certainly a hiring strategy. How to hire a product manager is way too big of a topic to discuss here. That's a full topic for another talk. But I'll point out a few things here that I feel are particularly important. You need to decide what your team needs are. Does it need Do your teams need experienced, more seasoned PMs to guide engineering teams that might skew towards the junior end? Do you want bright-eyed and bushy-tailed junior PMs that you can mentor in your own style? I personally have found that having a mix of both is usually best. The two things that I tend to look for when interviewing PMs are making sure that a product manager seems to be a curious person and eager to learn. And the other is that they're problem and customer oriented. Are they, do they keep their eyes on the prize by focusing on customers and solving their problems? And can they learn new domains quickly? And that's something that only they can talk to and prove to you by their past experience. Part of hiring and leading a team of PMs is coaching and mentoring. That's one of the things that this program is all about. Any leader in a company, though, needs to help each member of their team get their work done in the best way and grow both personally and career-wise on your team. The knowledge and experience you need to coach and mentor members of your team only comes with time and by being a manager or a leader. And by the time you get to be a manager or a leader, you should have knowledge and experience that you can share with more junior members of your team and make that possible to coach and mentor them. The second area that a product leader needs to really focus on is tools and processes. A product leader needs to define the metrics by which their team is measured, as well as how each product manager and team is measured. There are different ways of doing this, and product mentors have spoken about this in the past on best practices regarding metrics, OKRs, and things like that. It's something that you need to decide what works best for your team. The important thing to remember is to measure based on desired outcomes, not delivered output. You also need to work with the engineering team's leadership to determine what tools your team will use, what tracking systems to use, Jira, Rally, Pivotal, etc. What product team tools to use, AHA, ProdPlan, Roadmont, etc. What product metric tools to use, like Endo and Amplitude and Channel, and the communication tools to use, although Slack certainly seems to be embedded in most places already. Some of these things might be in place already, but you need to decide for your team needs what tools are best. Product managers usually have lots of responsibility, but little real authority. So you have to grow your cross-functional collaboration within your company. Product managers and leaders need to lead by influence, and they don't have authority. That influence and cooperation has to be grown across all functions in your company: engineering, design, QA, sales, marketing, customer success, IT, DevOps, etc. As product leaders, we have to help foster cross-functional collaboration to help ensure that teams work well together. No one wants to be on a committee or a large product team, but everyone hates to feel left out. Product leaders need to be smart about creating teams that are effective and get work done. Each type of team needs to be thought out and created at the right size to accomplish their goals. There's a difference between a small working group that's created for ideation on a big problem, where you might want the smartest 3 to 5 people in the company, and then there's larger groups of directors and VPs who just need bi-weekly status updates. This is sort of an extension of creating product teams that I already spoke about, but this is just another aspect to it. Also, most team members and most employees, for that matter, don't focus on KPIs and roadmaps. They're focusing on getting work done. They can quickly forget what they're working towards, and they can forget the big picture, who they're building for and why they're building it. Product leaders, and by extension product managers, need to be constantly reiterating how product managers add value and demonstrate that by selling what's coming next and the why and how this aligns with company goals. Number 4 is outcomes and strategy. That's another key area that product leaders work on. They need to push for outcomes that deliver real value to the business or to customers. They have to be the constant champion in the company for the product vision and deliver on that vision by delivering outcomes that solve customer problems and successfully deliver value. Most teams focus on output, delivering features by a certain date. You need to make sure that outcomes are the unit of measurement and that measures of success are determined before development ever starts. As a product leader, you need to constantly make sure that product managers are focused on delivering value and not just features. Individual contributor product managers are focused on their own products. Whether the company has a single platform that's divided into teams or the company has multiple discrete products doesn't matter. Product managers focus on their area of responsibility. The product leader's role is to make sure that each product manager is aligning their roadmap, OKRs, KPIs, etc., to company-wide goals. And last of these 5 areas is working with the C-level. Now, anybody who's seen any of my talks before know that I love this Dilbert cartoon, and it really should talk to most product managers. This Dilbert is my favorite one. I've always had it taped up in my cubicle or on my desk or whatever the case might be. When the founder of my old company up in Boston, in the Boston area, would come to me with something to do or an idea for a product, I would point to this cartoon, and then we'd have a real discussion about what was really important. Because he would just often try and heap things on, not knowing how it was going to affect everything else. So product leaders need to push for ruthless C-level prioritization and to ensure that all of their executive peers see the bigger picture. The thing to remember is that every stakeholder you speak to thinks that their ideas or features are the top priority, but your goal is to find out what the real priorities are. That top priority might be a golf course deal by the CEO or come from an endless stream of requests from other executives like, can't we just, or how hard is this? But you need to make sure that they see these one-offs or golf course deals as an or trade-off against the current roadmap, not an and. To remind the C-level what projects will deliver value to the customers and ultimately value to the company as well, and to make sure that everything is just thought through and, like I said before, is ruthlessly prioritized against what the company needs to do. Many times departments in a company are incorrectly incentivized in ways that are not aligned and sometimes conflict with each other. Professional service teams are incentivized for booking more custom work, but engineering and product are trying to reduce one-offs and specials. Support being measured on call duration or tickets closed instead of problem solved. Product is in a unique position to sort of act as a mediator between all of these teams to try and reduce these misalignments between the different teams to work towards the company's goals. And a last area that I'll touch here is product teams need to be the economic voice of the company and ensure that someone is focused on the whole product portfolio and what is providing value and what isn't. Product leaders need to drive the decisions on when to approach a new market, sunset an old product, and how to most optimally solve customer problems. A few other things that product leaders tend to do that are very important, but may not be the things that they focus the most on. And if you think you attend a lot of meetings now, that's nothing compared to how many meetings you need to attend as a product leader. Weekly one-on-ones with direct reports and your manager, whether it's a CEO or CTO, are a staple, but there's also executive team meetings, company all-hands meetings, portfolio alignment, and many other kinds of meetings that you'll end up attending. Product teams need to support the sales and marketing teams of the company, creating content such as webinars, white papers, documentation, working on the company website, whatever the case might be. Product leaders need to make sure that the proper org structures exist to ensure that product and sales and marketing teams can work efficiently in a way that can be scaled. And interactions with customers change a lot when you're a product leader. They certainly don't end. Just because you aren't an individual contributor doesn't mean that you stop meeting with customers. It just changes. It's more strategic, roadmap discussions to support major sales teams, keeping tabs on the market, and validating big strategy decisions. So here are just some of my early lessons learned from my own transition to being a VP of product. Most recently, I was at a hospital technology company that builds interactive patient systems for hospitals. Number one, learn from your mistakes. Anytime you take on a new role, whether it's leadership or not, you have a honeymoon period. You need to prove yourself that you were the right hire, but you also have some leeway to make some mistakes and to ask questions. Make sure you ask a lot of questions, but make sure that you learn from your mistakes if you do make any. Ask for help. Product managers go to their product leader for help working through complex problems and for mentoring. When you get to be a product leader, you might think that you should stop doing that and that you have nobody to go to within your own organization. But you need to make sure that you ask for the help that you need. Now, that might be internal in sitting down and talking with the CTO or other C-level executives, or it could be an outside peer, that a friend or somebody that you've worked with in the past that you can talk issues through and bounce ideas off of. It's important to ask for help when you need it, wherever you can get it in a way that makes sense. And lastly, it's your job as a product leader to focus on the 50,000-foot view, the big picture, but you also need to know the details, like I said before, so that you can help your team work through complex problems and make the right decisions. Switching from an individual contributor role to a leadership role is certainly a change in perspective and priority as well, in your priorities. And you have to recognize that being a manager, it's a skill. It's not a talent. It's something you have to learn. You have to keep focusing on and keep learning and make yourself better. And this is as important as the hard-won skills that you need, that you earned when you were an individual contributor. Learn how to be your own manager and make them your own, and just make sure that you keep growing as a product leader.
Hey, Paul.
Yes.
We do have a question from the audience, so let me shift over to Candace who has a question.
Hi, Candace.
Sorry, I was muting myself. I actually have several questions, and I will just ask them one by one. So for one, in the your section talking about how to work is the C-level, or the senior management level. So do you have a device on like a more, specific example, as in, let's say, when you have multiple C-level or higher level executive want to have their own influence or even a little bit control in the management team, but with a little bit different opinions. So how would you try to solve that?
That's your feedback from your mic to your speaker. So my answer to that is a product manager, and certainly a product leader. You have to have a strong backbone. You have to be willing to step on toes a little bit. If you've got your peers on the C-level executive team, or even they might be higher ups, if you're, I don't know, maybe you're a VP or senior director or something like that, you need to be willing to stand up for what you believe is correct. And if you've got two different executives that have two different opinions or two different ideas, you need to sit them down and talk it out. One thing, I read this once about how product works at Dropbox. And I've tried to bring this to my own work as a PM, is making sure that at every step you get buy-in from everybody. So when you're talking about, okay, what problem to solve, make sure that everybody signs off on the problem that you're solving. And that might involve some discussions and getting people to change thoughts and come to agreement. Then get everybody to agree on how you're going to solve the problem, and then come up with a product solution to solve that problem. So You've got to set the right level of expectation of what is and isn't possible. And one thing, Jordan, you've heard me say this before. If it's your opinion versus your boss's opinion is going to win. If it's your facts or your data versus your boss's opinion, your facts and data should win. So if you have whether your peers or above you that have differing ideas of what should be solved or how it should be solved, have the data to back up your decisions of what you're going to build. If you have the data to show how you came to a decision, then that should help you.
Gotcha. Thank you very much for that. My second question is around when you talk about, in the details so that, we can help the team members and also know what's going on. And then, so, like if the working environment is very fast pacing, there are, many things that everyone's working on. So how would you recommend to keep the pulse on the right thing instead of other than buried one with all the details, because then there may be too many details to learn and then there's just not enough time in the day.
100%. And that's a matter of your own prioritization of what you think are the important details. I was having this discussion last week at ProductCon in New York on this exact same question. I'm not a data scientist at heart. I come from an IT background. This guy that I was talking to is a product manager who came from a data scientist background. He's like, there's no way you're going to fully understand every single detail I'm working on as a data scientist because you're not a data scientist. It's just not possible. And he's 100% correct. So it's really a matter of you have to make sure you focus on what are the right details to know. You're not going to be able to know everything, every detail, but make sure you know enough of the details so that you can help your team.
So then what do you define as the right detail to know? Meaning, is it this related to let's say, the outcome of the problem we're solving, or this is, let's say, more on the priority list of the initiatives that we're working on, or this is important for, I'm looking for more tangible criteria so that this can be, more standardized, and then I will be able to communicate very clearly with the team member.
Sure. So my own personal, I'm sure other people have other opinions. My own personal way of thinking about it is know what the details are that led to a specific decision or are leading to a specific decision. I don't have to know every story that's in Jira. I don't have to know what every single engineer is working on. There are different tools out there, such as the product canvas or Jeff Patton's opportunity canvas with those really contain the types of details and types of data that I want to make sure that I'm on top of and that I know. Because if I have all of the information, let's say, that's contained in an opportunity canvas, then I should be able to help a product manager on my team make the right decisions. That would be, so for me, that's the level of detail that I want to understand things. I don't need to go down to every individual story or even to the epic level.
Gotcha. Thank you. My last question is around, so you list out several items that.
Sorry, I'm going to interrupt. I think we should gotta put you on pause and let Paul get back to his presentation before we stay on track. But thank you for all the wonderful questions. We appreciate it. Paul, take it back, okay?
Sure. This is just something that it's a quote that I saw that really spoke to me as a product leader. A product leader is ultimately responsible for the success or failure of your product. Oh, hang on, you're not seeing my screen. Let me go back to sharing. Sorry. This slide, this quote: a product leader is ultimately responsible for the success or failure of a product, and by extension, the company itself. And that impact cannot be underestimated. So, being a product leader is a crucial role in a company, and and then the success of everything that you do really affects everything in the company. So just an idea that I saw and really spoke to me. And that is the end of my presentation. My email address, my LinkedIn profile here. Feel free to contact me afterwards, but that's it. Thank you.
Hey, Paul, actually, it looks like we do have another question. Let's see. Looking for advice on should data always be the answer, but is there another thing that they are not seeing? So I think maybe what they're, oh, sorry, hold on, I see, I'm asking out of order. My bad. Oh, my bad. You know, I'm going to turn it over to the person asking the question.
Oh, okay.
Fabiola, I apologize.
No worries.
Putting you, hold on one second. Let me put you on. There we go. Yeah. You're on.
Yeah. No.
Hi, hello. Fabiola.
Hi, how are you?
Good, thanks.
I have one question. And
yes.
Well, I just to know the context. I started when we were 6 person on the team, and was the only product person actually. And today we have 21 people just on the product team. I'm in charge of them. But I still have problems dealing with my CEO's ideas about what we need to focus. So I know that the data should be the answer, but sometimes data is not enough. So there is something that I'm not seeing right now, or there is something else that I should do to I don't know, to have her yes in some things related to how we need to focus in this quarter, for example. Sometimes she wants to focus in, 10 things in one quarter, and that's not possible with the team we have right now.
Okay, so there could be a very long answer to that question. What I think it boils down to, if you're talking about as a company, how do we focus? You really need to make sure that the company has a mission statement and a product vision, and make sure that everything that you do guides towards both of those. If you're talking about at sort of a more a lower level, and you're talking about, okay, what are we focusing on this quarter? That's a prioritization exercise that has to take place of what is a higher priority. And you know what? Sometimes CEOs make golf course deals that you have to cash the check on, and you just have to do. Sometimes there's just no way around that. But like I was saying before, you need to, even the CEO of the company, I'm not a person, I don't shy away from pushing back. I don't shy away from stepping on toes a little bit. Sometimes I may not know just how much of the toes I should step on, but I don't shy away from it. So it's a matter of, you need to be willing to push back. And when the CEO comes and says, this is a priority, you need to have a little bit of a spine and push back on them and say, okay, how does that align with our product vision, with our company goals? You know, some companies, I don't know if yours does this, they publish goals for the year of what they want to be working on. And Jordan and I both worked at the same company a number of years ago, where everything, there was the company goals for the year, and everything that every team did, especially the product team, had to align to one of those company goals. If it didn't align to the company goal in some sort of justifiable way, then you really weren't going to work on it. So in your situation, if you've got something similar, if your company has company goals for the year, then everything that you're working on should align to those company goals. And if your CEO comes to you and says, I want to work on this, ask them, how does that align to our company goals? Ask them for, just because they say they want to work on it doesn't mean that they don't have to justify it. Ask them for their data on why they think it should be worked on. Let them convince you that it's something that you should work on. But it's obviously going to be a two-way conversation, but there should be data on both sides.
Yeah, that's the thing. Always it's in one side, but I think you're right. I have never asked her about her side.
Right. Look, I mean, some people's personalities are different. I'm not afraid to push back. I don't know you, so I don't know if that's in your nature or not, but it's something you got to do.
Awesome. Yeah. Thank you for that.
Yep. Any other questions, Jordan? You're on mute.
No, looks like we do not have any others. So Paul, thank you so very much.
Sorry to interrupt. So can I still ask my last question?
Sure.
Yeah, thank you. So of all the important points that you mentioned that product leaders should do, so do you have let's say, estimates of how much time should be allocated in different part, doing different things? Or put in more extreme cases, if there's just not enough time, what are the things that you think could be secondary or could be left alone a little bit for some future time to do?
I don't know that I can answer that in under a minute. But you just have to learn how to juggle your own time. I would say that those 5 things that I mentioned before, the 5 major areas, are certainly the areas that you need to focus on the most. If you're coming into an existing company as a product leader, probably how the teams are organized and who's on the teams and whatnot might be something that you can put on the back burner a little bit. Get to know the market, get to know how things are working, grow the cross-functional collaboration first, and come back to that when you have a better handle on the company. Things like what tools to use, that can certainly take a back burner if there are already tools in use. I would say you just have to realistically think about what's most important. There was an interesting article that was just posted on Medium not long ago. I believe the author's name was Nate Stewart, VP at a software company, database software company, where he actually analyzed what he did with all of his time and gave percentages and actual amounts of time that he did on all the different things that he did. Thought it was quite an interesting article. You can certainly look for that and take a look at it, but it is going to be somewhat a matter of you've got to decide what's most important for your role.
Thanks, Paul. There is another question from the public. Any tips on how to push back without stepping on the toes of your boss or CEO, without putting your job security at risk at the same time?
Number 1 is always be respectful. Don't push back in a flippant way. Make sure you're respectful. But again, like I said before, make sure you have data. Make sure don't be confrontational. If the CEO comes and says, well, we need to work on this, don't be confrontational and say, absolutely not, we can't, we have no available bandwidth for it. You need to sit down and say, okay, here's our backlog, here's our roadmap for the quarter. This is what we've already prioritized. Can you work with me to figure out where in the list of priorities this item should be, so that we know what to push down and how to bring this up? Really, the tips are, don't be flippant, don't be disrespectful, make sure you are respectful, make sure you have the right data, and ask them in a good way for their justification of, if they say, oh, let's say you've got a list of 10 things that you're working on for a quarter and they want this to be thrown in. You have to show them, okay, this is the list of 10. Show me where this should go in the list of prioritization, and tell me why you think it should be prioritized in such a way. Those are really the things that I would say. Look, part of not being afraid to push back is, for someone like me, is, yeah, I can get a little hot under the collar sometimes. And so you have to work at it to make sure you don't, and to make sure that you do it in a productive way, not in a confrontational way.
Great, Paul. Thank you so much for your discussion on how to transition from products to product leadership. As always,